So let's get fucking into it. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Barroom Boys. I am Mondo here today with Beav and Hodska. You know the boys had to roll out. Typical Tuesday for the gang. Today we're going to talk a little NFL playoffs, mainly the big stories from it. Knicks fans, you better be rejoicing. James Dolan got a little SA charge going on. We also are going to talk Taylor Swift, her impact on the playoffs. And then Beav's got a little special golf thing he wants to talk about. We'll wrap all this shit up. A little winter draft. The worst things about winter. Gentlemen, how was the weekend? How did you celebrate MLK? Todd, let's start with you.
I was cold this weekend, I'll say that. Temperatures not looking good in the Northeast, especially not Connecticut. But otherwise, it was fun. Watched some football, staying inside with a blanket the majority of the day. Yeah, that was really it. It was nice not having to work yesterday. Nice little day off, even though today was kind of hell, but we'll take the day by day. But yeah, overall not bad.
Eve.
Yeah. Yeah, this weekend was good because I didn't do anything, but in that nothingness, I found a kick of motivation. I it was cold here too, and it still is cold, and I'm not used to that.
Mhm.
I got on a running kick. I started running again. I
Nice.
hadn't been running for at least a couple months.
Right.
So it was good, good to, run and walk and get the heart rate up and, you know, bear the cold. Did some budgeting like a real adult, got a plan to pay off my student loans. Uh, and then I did nothing. Yeah, it was nice. I watched some football, cozied up, slept in yesterday. MLK is from Atlanta, so I paid homage. I went to his childhood home and walked around his museum.
Nice.
I'm just kidding. I didn't do that shit, but
Oh,
still respect to Martin Luther King and all he did. And yeah, now we're here. We're here, ready to take on the day, take on the week.
Good for you, Beav. I'm glad.
how was yours, Mondo?
It was pretty good. Spent it with my cousin, Julie. Just kind of hung out, paid homage to the man, the myth. And watched football. So nothing too crazy, but if you want to talk a little crazy, I guess you could talk about the game last night. The Eagles completed just about the most impressive fall from grace I have ever seen in my entire life. I mean, holy shit. They start out 10-1, finish 11-6, lose the first round of the playoffs, and then the face of their franchise, Mr. Jason Kelsey, decides to retire.
Yeah.
Todd, how we feeling?
Wild. Yeah, they got worked last night. They were never in that game from the second the whistle blew in the first quarter. I mean,
Nope.
Tampa just wanted it more. They were running better plays. Their defensive scheme, they couldn't do nothing. I don't know if it was just because the Eagles were so hurt or quote unquote hurt. They didn't have AJ Brown on offense. They couldn't do jack shit.
Mm-hmm.
Um, only person that had a decent game was Devonta Smith. I mean,
He balled.
he did his job, but everyone else really didn't do theirs. Jalen Hurts didn't really have that great of a game. Credit to Baker, man. I mean, he played his ass off in front of his Tampa fans, showing why that he earned that job. Yeah, I feel good for him, but Eagles got to have a long look in the mirror after this game. I mean, 10-1, being the best team in the NFL record wise, and everyone talking about Super Bowl or bust. They go on a 2-6 streak after that, lose first round of the playoffs. I mean,
Yeah,
Sirianni's got to have some questions. So
we were talking about it earlier. You think he's gonna get canned?
I think he could. I don't think he should necessarily. But I mean, Eagles fans are ruthless, and they're in such a win now mode based on like their team and the. I mean, you already saw Kelsey retire. You got a bunch of older guys on offensive line and even the defense is a bunch of old guys. I mean, it showed last night in the secondary. James Bradbury couldn't do shit against Trey Palmer. Trey Palmer's a rookie. Um, Big play Slay's getting old, but they do have some core young guys like AJ Brown's young, Devonta Smith. Their offense mainly is young besides their O line.
Yeah.
So it's kind of almost a now or never move for them. It's got to determine what they are. So I mean, if Sirianni's not the right guy, I don't know who will be. I could see them going with in a direction where I could see Vrabel fitting in there really well. Even a Pete Carroll having like the experience in Seattle because he has a similar team, kind of defensive oriented. Everyone thinks they're so good defensively, but they really weren't this year. So maybe he can find something that bring the defense out of them, but that'll be interesting.
Do you have any departing words for Jason Kelsey?
I mean, just one of the best centers of all time. Happy retirement, man.
B.
Yeah, Hod, you made a good point with Vrabel to Philly. I think that could potentially be a nice move. But I think we should give credit to the Bucks and everything that they've done. I mean, they had
Definitely.
they had their year or two with Tom Brady, obviously won a Super Bowl. They've managed to keep, a lot of the key pieces that led them to winning a ring. They kept on Antoine Winfield, who's an all-pro,
He's a man.
Levante David, even, Mike Evans, Godwin, obviously, and now you got Baker, who literally came from Carolina in the gutter, went to the Rams, won a game out of nowhere, and then, became the starter, slugged it out in the NFC South, won 9 games, and now they're doing something. They won a home playoff game against a team that, you know, albeit they lost 5 of their last 6, but was the team in the NFC for most of the early season. They have all the pieces. And also shout out Rashad White. I feel like he does a lot for that team. They don't have
Yeah.
Leonard Fournette anymore, but he's a beast down in the trenches and he's pretty quick too. But I don't know, man. The Bucks could be up to something. They looked good last night. They
They
really
look
did. They play
Did.
Detroit next game. We've seen Detroit be faulty at points. Obviously, they're probably the more physical team, but that's going to be a great game to watch at Detroit.
it's
Mm-hmm.
gonna be a fun game.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, speaking of Detroit, they sneak one out against the Rams 24-23. I mean, it was the quintessential playoff football game, right? Just a fucking battle till the end. Stafford looked great coming back to Detroit. Did you guys hear that the crowd booed his 4 little girls?
Yeah, because they were wearing like the Detroit born LA raised sweatshirts.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not
Yeah.
buying that. Nobody would ever boo
I
four
don't know.
getting booed. We're definitely
Yeah.
booing Matthew Stafford.
I don't necessarily think they were booing the girls. I think they were booing Matthew Stafford when he was hugging his girls.
Okay.
Probably. I don't know. His wife, and well, his wife. His wife said they were booed multiple times during the game.
I mean,
So
he
Well, if
is
that
like,
happened, then that's fucked up. We don't condone that on our show here.
yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, yeah, he was their quarterback for what, 10 plus years, a good part of it. And like, yeah,
yeah,
he does have history there. But I mean, Jared Goff won infinitely more playoff games last night than Stafford did his whole career in Detroit. So
yeah. Respectfully, what did Stafford do? Aside, I mean, he's basically Kirk Cousins.
he threw to Calvin Johnson, and that was
Yeah,
about it for 6 years.
He didn't lose 16 games in one year.
Yeah.
like I
That's all
think the
you ask for.
story instead of Matt Stafford's return should be Jared Goff's revenge against the team that threw him aside to get
Yeah.
Stafford.
Yeah. No, I agree. It was the perfect kind of story. Like such a close game. Stafford gets hurt, but then bounces right back up. It shows his toughness and heart and desire to win for the Rams and Goff's determination to not let down, even though they were struggling offensively in the second half. And their defenses both grinded it out. Detroit ended up finding a way to win. Credit to Dan Campbell.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but in terms of that story, the Goff trade and versus the Stafford trade, I mean, Josh Reynolds had a big touchdown and a big gain.
Mm-hmm.
He was part of that trade. Goff obviously played really well. Stafford played well. Puka, I mean, he wasn't part of that trade, but I mean, he's just ridiculous. I mean, his stat line was video game esque.
Yeah, Beav, you
Yeah,
were talking
Puka is
about that.
ridiculous. Puka is ridiculous.
He
He's
is so
nuts.
good. He's so good.
The Lions were getting after him all night. Big hits with every catch, and he just got up, made more plays. I think he ended the night with like 180 yards or something. Rookie first playoff game. Are you kidding
Yeah,
me? Where did this guy come from? I don't understand. I love Puka. He's
yeah,
awesome.
Yeah, I mean, truthfully, the only performance that rivaled Puka in the entire weekend was probably Aaron Jones and the
yeah.
crazy upset they pulled off on the Cowboys. So Packers won 48-32. Aaron Jones, 118 yards, 3 touchdowns. Hot, you know damn well I'm salty about it. And you know why I'm salty about it.
Yeah, I mean
That would
that's
have won me the chip.
yeah, too little, too late, man.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I mean the Packers just flat out destroyed the
Mhm.
Cowboys offensively and defensively. I mean, Dak didn't look that sharp, especially in the first half when they were down 27-0. He threw two pick sixes, or not two pick sixes, but
One
a
pick
pick six
six.
that was called back. That
Yeah.
was an Aaron Jones run, and then another pick six that Darnell Savage literally walked into the end zone. I mean,
Mhm.
I could have ran that back. He was that open. Um, but yeah, they were just balling.
Yeah.
They looked, they looked scary. Jordan Love looked unreal. I mean, and at the end of the day, like Jake Ferguson had 3 touchdowns. No one really talked about that from the end of the game because the Cowboys just got worked so much.
I mean, if you think about it, uh, if you remove October from the record, Jordan Love's top three, top five in the MVP vote this year.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
the October really fucked him, but in the last 10 games, the man has been fucking unreal.
I know. Yeah, he's been balling.
Very slept on. Nobody talked about the Packers kind of sneaking their way into the playoffs. Statement win. Absolute
Yeah.
statement win at home and or on the road at Jerry World.
Yeah.
What's the future of the Cowboys?
I don't know, Giants fan. Talk to me. What are your thoughts?
I was prowling around on the Cowboys social media channels, kind of getting a sense of how their fans are feeling. Seems like they want everyone gone. Seems like they definitely want McCarthy gone, and I'm on board with that. A lot of them want Jerry Jones gone, which
Never's gonna
also
happen.
get on board with that, but that's just not going to fucking happen. Um, but I heard an interesting take. Jerry Jones is 81 years old. He's in that win now mode, right? We don't know how many years he's got left. Is Dak Prescott the answer?
Dude,
And
I
I
if
mean,
he's
don't know.
not, who is?
they
It-
just paid him, didn't they?
that was like the quintessential Dak Prescott line.
Yeah.
Like he starts out terrible, ends up getting blown out, and then the garbage time he takes over, he ends with 400 yards, 3 TDs too.
They should have
But it's
taken
also
Manziel when they had the chance.
but it's also the most Dak thing ever is that the Cowboys look so good and scary at times in the regular season. Dak's probably gonna get second in MVP voting based on the regular season.
Yeah.
Everyone's saying like, "Oh, this is the year." Like Cowboys fans always do, get their hopes up. One of my friends that's a huge diehard Cowboys fan, was literally like, "Yep, this is it." And I'm like, "What?" And he's like, "It's going to be another one of those years as a Cowboys fan." I'm like, "You think so?" And he goes, "Oh, I know it every time.
When
I
did
just
he
can't."
say that?
He's like, "You can't get hyped anymore," and he called it perfectly. He's like, "We're gonna lose this game."
Yeah.
Yeah, he bet on the Packers too, so at least if the Cowboys lost, he would have a little bit of happiness that he won his bet. Um, but yeah, I mean, he called it perfectly, and Dak again, typical Cowboys, don't show up in the playoffs.
Literally the first drive. The first drive I knew the Cowboys were in trouble. Like that's all it took. One drive you could see the pace of play was different. The Packers were just amped up, ready to go, and it's almost the same thing as watching the Dolphins Chiefs game. The Chiefs were all amped up, all ready to go. Dolphins not so much, right?
Dolphins not at all.
Yeah, and I vented plenty over the weekend, but the Dolphins look terrible. I'll give you the quick notes. The Dolphins look terrible. You can't win a game through screen passes and handoffs. You got to be able to throw the ball deep. You got to trust in your quarterback. You need a leader out there with the killer mindset. And I give McDaniel and Tua one more year. That's the TLDR.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I'd agree with that. I mean, Tua looked hopeless out there.
Yeah.
I'm not just saying that it was because it was like the wind or anything like that, or like the conditions and it being freezing, which definitely has something to do with it and affects your confidence as a player, especially throwing the ball with the wind. I mean, we
Mm-hmm.
saw what, like the fourth play of the game where McCole Hardman was streaking down the field and Mahomes underthrew him, which
Yeah.
Mahomes never underthrows anyone. Um, but
But
yeah, I mean, he just couldn't find his rhythm. I mean, he found Tyreek on that one ball. That was probably the only pass he
it
had over
was.
like 15 yards.
It was the only deep ball he threw, and it was a touchdown.
Yeah.
No
At
one's
one point,
prepared
I think
for it.
going into the fourth quarter, he had like 100 yards passing, and
Mm-hmm.
53 of it was on that Tyreek Hill touchdown.
It was terrible.
Yeah. I mean,
I was frustrated. I mean,
the end of the day, I think the Dolphins didn't necessarily lose to the Chiefs. I think they just beat themselves so much. I mean, they
yeah,
should have never been in that position in the first place, but that's the reality of it.
yeah, we should have. I mean, we should have won against the Bills to be at home.
You should have won
We
against the
should have beaten the
Titans.
Titans. Like, we should have done a lot of different things. It also doesn't help that every single defensive player is hurt aside from Jalen Ramsey, which isn't a valid excuse because we just don't have depth. Like,
Yeah.
we need to focus more on building up the depth versus rostering like 10 receivers, including Chase Claypool. Like that, we got
I
to
forgot
cut
he was
down
on the
on the
team until he
offense,
caught a pass last week.
dude. Like, it was just a terrible game. Um, I mean, in terms of how embarrassing it is, it's still not top two. I mean, Cowboys and Eagles have got to
It's
be
not.
above it.
No, it's not.
So, but on to probably, I'd say the biggest surprise of the weekend, and that was the absolute blowout performance the Texans put on, 45-14. I know we've talked about how good CJ Stroud is a lot on this show, but Beav, I'll let you start it off. Kind of what went through your head watching this as the first game of the playoffs?
Yeah, I'll start. I just want to say something on the Dolphins' behalf. I think you do have to take into consideration the fact that they got on a plane from Miami and we're in sub freezing temperatures in Kansas City. And if they beat Buffalo week 18, they'd be in sunny South Florida. So I think that's the game of the year right there. It's not against Kansas City.
Yep.
You know, the game was over at the half pretty much, third quarter. But when we're talking Houston Texans, I mean, CJ Stroud, what the hell was going on there? Joe Flacco, what happened to him? What
Oh,
happened to Joe Flacco?
no longer elite. He was
It
elite
was.
for a little run. No longer
It's like
elite.
the exact opposite of like kind of what they were saying going into the game. Like, oh, Joe Flacco's going to get it done. He has got more playoff experience than the whole Texans combined. Um, Yada yada yada. Browns were what 3.5 point favorites in Texas,
Yeah.
and they just got worked.
I mean, there
Stroud.
can't be anybody happier than Ravens fans, right? They don't have to
Oh yeah.
face their pride and joy anymore.
Oh yeah.
Although with what we know now, they probably would have shat on them.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is true. I mean, we should have called this earlier. I was rooting for the Texans to win just because I would love to see them win in D'Amico Ryan's first year. Plus, I just feel like they're a very likable team from a person that like my team's already been eliminated. I hate division teams, yada yada yada. Like you have no reason to hate the Texans.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, they're a fun team to watch. And like the Browns, Deshaun was hurt. Amari didn't play like when wasn't 100%. Neither was Garrett. Like their secondary was hurt. Like Chubb was out for the year. Like we should have called this. They were playing with a bunch of their backups on offense and defense.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, everyone thought because of Flacco, who's 39 years old and has played what 11 games this year, and he hasn't touched a football in a year and a half before that, that he thought you were going to take him to the promised land. Like
Flacco. Yeah, it was interesting for sure. All right, Hod, let's head over to the pussies in Buffalo who are afraid to play in snow, shall we? Steelers, Bills. Bills win 31-17. Fuck them. They're going to lose to the Chiefs, I hope. Too soft to play in snow. Meanwhile, we go and play in sub-freezing temperatures because we got balls, but that's besides the point. Hod, as a Patriots fan and a fellow division hater, take it away.
Um, Bills didn't look great. Steelers looked absolutely horrible. Bills kind of looked like their regular season where it's like, are they good? Are they not good? Like, kind of when they were 6-6 and trying to find out their identity. It
Yeah.
was the stadium was. I mean, we all saw pictures. I'm sure everyone watching saw like pictures and videos on like Instagram or X or any social media platform. Like it was bad, but they did a good job to make the surface somewhat playable, and it didn't even look like it snowed on the field because all the snow was in the stands. Um,
Yeah. How about
but
the
I don't know.
fans?
I think next week is going to be a great game, Bills Chiefs. I'm excited to watch it. I think the winner of that game most likely will go to the Super Bowl. Um, and yeah, I don't know. I don't if you asked me to tell or like I guess pick someone now to win that game, I'd lean towards Buffalo. I'd give it slight advantage to Buffalo just because I still don't know about Kansas City's offense. And Buffalo should be getting Gabe Davis back. They should be getting Rasul Douglas back. So that's what swings me, but that game's gonna be crazy.
Not to mention Mahomes' first road playoff game ever
Yeah,
Mhm.
exactly. That's not a Super Bowl, yeah.
against a team that he eliminated twice already,
Yeah.
and with the greatest rivalry of this generation, the AFC. Buffalo's going to be loud.
Oh,
Mahomes is
yeah.
going to be, I wouldn't say unsettled because he's Patrick Mahomes, but he
Yeah.
doesn't have the weapons that he has won all the Super Bowls with. Wide
See if
receiver
Taylor
room is
Swift goes to
a little
Buffalo,
shaky when Rasheed Rice is your number one guy who got banged up a bit last week.
but he balled out.
He did ball out. He's their guy,
Mm,
and they got Pacheco, but I don't know. Yeah, I mean the Steelers and the Browns kind of in the same boat where it was like inevitable that it was just going to collapse.
yeah.
Browns had a stud defense. Steelers did too, but they just they didn't have that it factor. They didn't have
TJ
that
Watt.
top playmaker that can, take them deep in the playoffs. And so it is what it is. Shout out Mike Tomlin for another great year. I'm sure he'll
Yeah.
be 9-8, 10-7 next year again with a bum at quarterback, probably Pickett. Um, but yeah, it is what it is. On to the next. We got some great games next week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Before we move on from that game, I want to give a quick shout out to Kyer Elam, the former Florida Gator, with the interception after getting benched like
Sure.
the last 5 games to end the season. Good
That's
shit.
what we do. Impact players.
Felt different.
Shout out to Marcus Robinson too. Had himself a nice little game for the Rams.
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, that he did.
Shout out to Kadarius Tony. Couldn't
He-
fuck anything up. Proud of
yeah.
him. He did great. um, Beef. All the Knicks Nation. It's time to rejoice. The devil in your building has been Weinstein. Well, he's been Weinstein with Weinstein in terms of this allegation. I don't know if you read about it at all. Have you?
Why don't you refresh all of us?
All right. So this Tennessee woman, she filed a lawsuit on this morning, actually, accusing James Dolan, as you guys know, the chairman of the Knicks
The
and the
Rangers
Rangers,
and Madison
uh,
Square Garden.
pressured
Andy's
her
Theater.
into unwanted sex nearly a decade ago, and also facilitated an encounter with the disgraced Harvey Weinstein, who she also claimed sexually assaulted her. Mr. Weinstein introduced himself as one of Dolan's best friends. So that's as far as I will go. But you're obviously a Knicks fan. I'm hoping you can speak out about this, with Knicks Nation behind you.
Look, whatever James Dolan did with that woman, I believe 100% of what that woman is saying. James Dolan is the biggest scumbag to ever walk this earth. But at the same time, what was this woman doing for 10 years? Look,
Yeah,
I believe her. I believe her. What was she doing 10 years? James Dolan could have been gone by now. What are we doing here? Does she not care about the fan base? And also, I think James Dolan is too big to fail. He's like one of those. He's like J.P. Morgan Chase. He's fucking Wells Fargo. He's not going down. He owns Madison Square Garden. What are you gonna do with him? You got it from his
Spears.
father. He's just gonna give it to his son and ride off into the sunset. Nothing's ever gonna change. But I believe that woman 100%, and I guarantee Dolan was up to some shady shit back in the day with his boy Harvey Weinstein.
I
So the
agree.
way the way I read this is you're mad at the woman because she screwed over the Knicks.
Oh no, I'm not mad at the woman at all. I mean,
Think you think you
look,
could be a little slightly because I mean the Knicks have been not the best NBA team over the last decade.
And it's
Allegedly,
Dolan's
when this
fault.
happened, she could have came out a lot earlier and saved you some pain and
yeah,
suffering.
and also I'm not blaming her at all. What are you doing with James Dolan? He's not, he's not eye candy. What are we doing here, bro?
Yeah, I just want to know the logic of her being like, you know what, today was the day that we're gonna fuck up the world, and I'm gonna tell my story. Like
Probably
Well, the Knicks
noticed
today.
that
got
they've
blown
been
out
starting
last
to
night.
do a little better. She
Yeah,
was
I
like, you
know
know
they've
what? I'm
signed.
shutting this shit down now.
Yeah, they
You
signed
can't be
OG or
happy.
they traded for OG Anunoby, and all of a sudden the Knicks are one of the hottest teams in basketball. Like, so I guess that's the
He
reason. I
shut.
mean,
You know what? Maybe she's like a Celtics fan, and
Yeah,
that's why.
uh,
maybe she's a U2 fan and she wanted tickets when they opened up the Sphere in Vegas
yeah,
for that week-long stay. And Dolan hit her with the, you gotta give me a favor for them tickets. And that's when she decided to come out with the truth. She was sitting on it for a few more weeks and decided today was a day.
great, lovely day for lovely Tuesday.
I hope Dolan gets the boot, man.
I
That's
hope so
such
too.
a fucking
I think
scumbag.
America does, but
Yeah,
who's to follow? Probably not much better.
Oh, gonna be interesting to follow this along. Kind of excited. It's a new read.
yeah.
But kind of staying in the same ballpark ish. Beeve, give us the rundown on this live golf guy.
Yeah, so I have a crazy story that developed today out of the golf world. I guess the world as a whole. Um, Yasir Al Rumayyan, who people obviously may not know the name, but they know what he does. He is the head of the Saudi wealth fund, the sovereign wealth fund that's worth about $800 billion. So he
Yeah.
is pretty much the right hand man of Mohammed bin Salman, the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia. Today came out that he faces a 58 million pound, or in the UK here, lawsuit over accusations he carried out the instructions of Saudi Arabia's crown prince with malicious intent. According to The Athletic, legal papers sent to Al Rumayyan at St. James Park and other high profile locations allege he acted with the aim of harming, silencing, and ultimately destroying the family of Dr. Saad al-Jabri, the Gulf state's former intelligence chief, harming, silencing, and ultimately destroying. That sounds like he was blackmailing this guy on behalf of the prince, and who knows what that involves? Maybe some death
Yeah.
threats, maybe some family threats, maybe definitely some money was involved in that. And this is the guy that the PGA Tour wants to negotiate with because they don't want to lose their game to Saudi Arabia. And if that's the case, then we live in a fucked up world, and we've already known that. But I mean, to anybody who was kind of sucking up to live golf, was kind of jumping on board with it, and to see this bullshit come out, we know Saudi Arabia's a bunch of snakes. You think they really want to grow the game?
Yeah. I
I
mean,
think
what team was this guy on?
no. He's not a player. He's like he works for he's like the Saudi Arabian, like
Oh,
you
okay.
know president
This goes up there. What does Rory think?
I don't know what Rory thinks, but Ian Poulter came out today. You know, the fucking 40-plus-year-old golfer who hasn't won in 10 years or some shit.
Yeah.
Came out, was talking shit to Rory on Instagram, on his
I
Instagram
saw
story.
that.
Some bullshit. But
I don't know why they're all.
yeah, Liv does not have a great reputation. Most of the guys that go over there aren't the greatest guys. You know, they're in there for money. You know, they got their
Yeah.
you know, butt lifts on their wives and all that. And I don't know why that was relevant, but I was just thinking of Pat Perez, and he recently got divorced.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, what is going on? You got this guy Al Rumayyan. He definitely beheads people in his spare time. Like,
Yeah.
and this is the guy in charge of growing the game of golf. Give me a break.
Yeah. It's money runs the world, man. Tough.
That's interesting. I don't know where to go from here. I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah.
That's a wild fucking story. All right, I don't even know how to pull out this transition, but let's just get into the snake draft.
All right. Sounds
All
good.
right, there was no way for me to get that one through.
Yeah. I
Let
see
me
your
let me
brain
try
trying to
and
turn.
let me try and think of something. You know what's colder than kidnapping? The worst things about winter. And what better time to talk about it than the worst things about winter draft that we're gonna have right now? How was that? That was pretty good.
It was
That
kind of
bad.
cool.
wasn't bad. All right. You guys know the rules, 5 rounds. Snake draft. Put them up. Rock, paper, scissor, shoot. Shit. All right, you two.
Rock, paper,
Scissor,
scissors,
shoot.
shoot.
We
All
all
right.
look like we should be cooking grilled cheeses.
All right, all right. I'm gonna pick the order. I'm gonna go with myself first, and then Mondo second, and Hod last.
Gotcha.
And so the worst things about cold, worst things about winter, we're grouping it into one because winter is cold, cold is winter. It's all the same. I am gonna go with hmm.
A lot of directions you can go.
I'm gonna go with darkness. The days are short, gets dark
Mhm.
before 6 o'clock. That shouldn't happen. Gets dark late, just gets dark early. It's gray out. You see limited sun. Just everything about winter it just gives the vibe of just dark and gloomy.
Okay. I'm gonna
Mhm.
go. The worst thing about winter is probably being cold. Would be the logical pick to take here.
Okay.
Odd, you're
Hey,
Uh,
Mr. South Florida.
Hey, I'm doing what I gotta do.
for my first pick, as someone who has avidly experienced uh the cold in winter and its peak, worst thing for me by far is shoveling. Whether it's shoveling your driveway or your sidewalk, it sucks no matter what. I was born where my driveway is on a hill. It sucks. I hate shoveling. By far the worst thing.
How long does it take you to shovel from start to finish?
It took so I went out with my dad on my lunch break today, and in an hour, he had his snowblower, and I was on the shovel, and we almost finished within the hour.
Jeez.
Yeah. So, I mean, my driveway is very long, and then there we have like sidewalks, then we have to make sure you get shovel to like the boiler tank to make sure if like any problems with that it's easily accessible. So it's just a bitch. I hate it.
That
Eat
does
shit a
sound
couple
brutal.
times too, especially if it's icy out, which it is
Oh,
tomorrow, which
yeah.
I'll have to go salt, which is a whole different
Oh,
problem. But I guess going on to my next pick, I am going to say, ooh, there's tough. I'm gonna say, I know Mondo took being cold. I'm gonna say getting a cold, like the
Mhm.
like,
Bastard.
like the sickness.
You bastard.
It's inevitable. It's inevitable getting a cold. You could do so much to try to prevent it. You're just always gonna get a cold, and it's the worst when you have a stuffy nose and you're coughing. Hate it.
Okay. I'm gonna go with black ice.
Yeah, that is
Yeah,
tough.
Florida boy knows about the black ice. I lived in North Carolina for a little.
Black
Black
ice.
ice is terrifying.
Yep.
Yep. Okay, my next pick, I'm gonna go with layering up slash layering down. It's just like a pain in the ass when you just
Yep.
want to go outside for a quick second, and then you realize, oh, I'm gonna freeze my ass off if I'm going out in a t-shirt. You put on a long sleeve shirt, you put on, a sweater, you put on your jacket, then you go outside for 5 minutes or longer, whatever, and you come back in. You gotta take all the layers off, and it's just a pain in the ass.
Hmm.
Uh, and then my next pick, I think is a good one, and it's waiting for the heat to turn on in the car.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
having
Oh
to
yeah.
warm
That
up
was
the
annoying.
car.
I don't care if you got a Toyota Prius or a Rolls Royce Cullinan. It's gonna take at least 5 minutes for the heat to get turned up in the car, and for that time being, it's blowing out cold air when it's already cold out, and you're freezing your ass off, and it's miserable. But it's worth it in the end. But it's miserable.
All right. I'm gonna go with heavy snow slash dangerous conditions. If you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
Blizzard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Blizzard. Yeah. Not fun. Like Buffalo.
Yeah. But we're not pussies about it. I'd play football in that weather.
Um, let's see. Um, my next one, kind of a similar line to Beeves, not necessarily kind of goes hand in hand with warming up the cart, but different. Um, Scraping ice off of your windshield of the car. It is just the most annoying thing possible. You have to have a specific scraper or else it does nothing. And it's just like you're already running late, especially this was always me in high school. I'd always be running late. I'd get out to my car, I'd start my car, I'd look, get ready to drive, and I can't see shit because there's all ice on my windshield. Then I have to go spend like 5 minutes breaking up the ice, making sure I'm able to see. It's just the worst.
What's the process like? You scrape the ice off and then you defrost, or you're defrosting at the same time?
The frosting at the same time, it helps melt the ice a little bit, but then you have like this little pick thing that you're just stabbing kind of the ice, so you're trying to
Okay.
break it up, and then you have like a little brush thing that brushes it all off. But it's just like the whole process of it, you're cold, you're just miserable because it's you can't really see that much, especially in the morning. And
Usually it's first thing in the morning. That's got to be brutal.
yeah, and you just like you try to push it off and you sometimes it'll get on you and it'll be even more cold and it's yeah, not fun. And then my next pick, um, this one I can relate to a lot because I kind of have them right now and I always get them, especially this time of year, but chapped lips.
Fuck.
I always am, especially in the wintertime, always strapped with chapstick
Oh yeah.
because it sucks.
Yeah, I love chapstick. I got like 3 sticks of
Oh yeah.
chapstick. And now you need that in the winter, man. Or
Oh
if
yeah.
you get to high elevation.
Oh yeah. It serves a double purpose because especially like you get your lips get very chapped, especially if you go like skiing or snowboarding.
Yeah.
It kind of goes hand in hand.
Do fuck you, Hod. Whether it's a fall, a slide, or a slip, or a trip on ice.
Yeah.
It's funny for everyone but your broken ass cheeks. That's a fact.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I am gonna go with brown everywhere. Brown grass, all the grass is dead. All the trees are dead. There's nothing but brown. And
All right.
I'm an outdoors type of guy. I play a
What
lot
kind
of
of
golf.
snow you got, bro?
I know what
You got them shit flakes.
uh damn, I don't get no shit flakes. Brown grass everywhere. It's just not aesthetically pleasing. It doesn't put you in the right mood. It's not like green grass and trees with leaves and the whole deal of nature and all that goes into nature. It just
Yeah.
hits different in the winter, It hits different.
Yeah.
Uh, my last pick has got to be stepping out of the shower.
You bitch. Oh my God. I thought
Try to
no one.
soak in those last few seconds of that warm water, turn the heat all the way up, because as soon as you get out, you better throw a towel on as soon as you get out, or you're gonna be freezing your ass off. You better put your clothes on, you better layer up in the bathroom, because once you get out, you're gonna be miserable. And the whole planning process around that, those last few seconds before you turn the faucet off, is just the worst. The worst.
I
Well,
thought
we've
for
danced
sure no
around
one
it
would know that.
just a little bit.
Mhm.
But brother, when I tell you you open up your payments for the month, that heat bill is gonna look like a bitch. That's gotta be the worst fucking thing about the winter is the
Yeah.
amount of shit you gotta pay for that motherfucker.
Yeah. Uh, that's the first pick that we've had that costs money. So that one, yeah, definitely is up there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not gonna lie, a lot of my picks have been taken. Trying to think. I mean, I know Mondo said black ice. Would you
Dude,
guys accept
yellow
ice
snow.
like driving conditions or no?
What?
I know you said black ice. Would you accept like driving conditions?
I
Like
think I did that for my third pick, didn't I?
you did heavy snow.
Oh,
Yeah, I would accept driving conditions.
All right.
yeah.
Because I was just going like not necessarily of like the snow or like the ice. Like for my instance, as we're recording this right now, it's hailing out in Connecticut. It sucks to drive through hail. Like stuff like that.
Is it even possible?
I mean, it is. I've done it before, but it's
Yeah,
not fun.
yeah,
And
that's
you're
that's
going super duper slow, and it kind of pairs in with black ice because that's how black ice forms. So, I mean, it's already just a bitch to drive through.
yeah.
You see a bunch of accidents. It's the most popular time of the year for car accidents in the Northeast. So, yeah, I guess to recap, so yeah, Braverman's team, he's got dark days slash darkness, um, wearing layers and then stripping down, warming up the car. We got in quotation marks, brown everywhere. And then
It,
stepping out of the shower. Mondo, for your team, we've got being cold. We have black ice, heavy snow, falling or tripping on ice, and then the heat bill. Then I have shoveling, getting a cold, scraping ice off the car windshield, chapped lips, and driving conditions.
okay. I have an ungodly amount of fantastic honorable mentions, but Beeve, you were first.
Okay, I'll start with a few honorable mentions. I had cold rain. We don't get snow,
Yep.
barely, maybe once a year here in Atlanta. Haven't gotten it yet, but sure as hell gotten some rain. and any rain compounded with cold weather is brutal, absolutely brutal.
Yep.
Uh, and then and the end of college football. Once January hits, that first week of January, no more college football. NFL playoffs is prime time for the month of January, but something about college.
Yeah, that's a good one. I wasn't even thinking about that.
Mm-hmm. All right, here we go. We got the dry skin water eye combo, being cold outside and then too hot as soon as you set foot inside,
Mhm.
weird political talks during the holidays, having to talk to coworkers about the weather,
Yeah.
Yeah.
accidentally eating yellow snow,
Oh,
hitting a disabled kid with a snowball on accident,
oh,
falling off your sled, your dad popping your tube sled,
oh.
getting run over by your snowplow, saving your niece slash nephew,
Jeremy Renner.
Oh, okay.
driving off a cliff and turning into a snowman that can talk, aka
What?
the plot of Jack Frost.
All right. That was some interesting honorable mentions. I guess one I have is frozen hands. Because even if you wear gloves, bitch is still gonna be cold.
Yeah.
Same with your ears. For like, I don't know why, but the part of my ear, like the bottom part,
Lobe.
this part, yeah, the lobe, always gets cold. No matter if I cover them with a hat, they're still always cold.
Yeah. Some sensitive skin.
Chili
That part of
lobes.
your body. Yeah. My
Yeah.
favorite
And then I guess
food.
kind of
Food.
last thing, but like Pete kind of said it, but just like missing the sun. It's never sunny during winter.
Just
Yeah.
making up snow days.
Oh yeah, that's a great one.
Worst.
But a good sunny winter day, happens probably, once a week or so.
Yeah.
It's a great day. We can't just shit on winter constantly because it's not.
Yeah, no, I enjoy winter for the start of winter, but then when winter's in like late February and there's still snow, I'm like, all right, winter, what are we doing here?
Most
All right.
definitely. We should also mention the fact that Hod is the only one that's actually in a northern state. The only one in a place where there's snow and where it does snow.
He's
Um,
the only one or one of two that knows about winter conditions. The other one lives in South Florida. I bet you'll never guess who.
yeah,
Well,
winter's not the worst thing in the world, but
No.
I'll tell you what, I'm built for those summer 110 days in South Florida. That's just what I'm built for.
yeah,
That's just what I do. I just survive the heat. I'm not built for the cold.
neither am I. All right, boys, that was a hell of a draft and a hell of an episode. If you guys enjoyed this episode, please like, subscribe, and share with everyone you know. And if you're a Bills fan, get ready to witness a lot of misery as you have to watch Taylor Swift come across your screen and you can't lose in peace. It is not fun. It's a terrible time. We'll see you guys on the next episode. Peace.